Good morning and welcome to Bethany on this Passion Sunday. So as we prepare for Holy Week this week, there is a lot of wonderful opportunities happening here at Bethany for you to enjoy. We have our Stations of the Cross in the chapel that you can go and have a meditational moment. We also have our labyrinth, if you haven't been there yet, downstairs. There are signs that can lead you there. You can enjoy that as well and just try and get in that headspace that Holy Week offers, which is a time of meditation and thought and intentionality. So we have some ways to get involved here at Bethany to enjoy those things. Today after worship, there will be a pancake breakfast in the fellowship hall for all of you to enjoy. So please stay after worship and greet one another, spend some time getting to know each other some more, and enjoy some delicious pancakes. So for worship today, we have a little bit of a different style of service happening today, and it will include some congregational participation. So if you notice, throughout the bulletin, there are bolded words and phrases, and that is for you as the crowd to speak and participate through the worship service. We have a song that we will all kind of join in singing like a round, Hashi Venu, on page 5. We'll have the youth singing, starting us off, and then we'll have the choir join in, and then all of us will also join in. So just kind of feel that out and join in as you feel led. Communion will be a little bit different since we have a little bit of a different setup. Just be careful when you come up to the different stations for communion. Watch out for all of the cords and things that are happening up here. We've got a lot of microphones for our worship service today, so just be aware of all of those things. And now we're going to have a quick moment to recognize those who have celebrated their communion milestones. Please stand if you have received your communion milestones this week. We know that communion is a huge part of our worship service, so it is such a blessing to invite new people to learn about what communion means and to participate in communion. So, before we begin, I also want to let you know that after the greeting of peace, which we will start off with worship, the children can go with their palms to the back of the sanctuary so that they can join in on our processional this morning, which is very exciting. So, with all that being said, and we do have an Easter egg hunt on Saturday, April 20th at 4 p.m., and a worship service will be following that. So all of these ways that we celebrate together and enjoy Holy Week, please enjoy those things happening here at Bethany throughout the week. The peace of the Lord be with you always. Please share a sign of peace with one another and stay standing after you share peace. Please stand and face the processional cross as we sing our hymn, All Glory, Laud, and Honor, verses 1 and 3, hymn number 344. And please stay standing throughout the processional.
Good morning, Forest, and good morning to all of you here to watch today's parade.
Yes, it's a good morning, and it's great to be with you today, Lisa, as we take part in this grand event. So, what have you seen so far this morning?
People have been so busy. As word has spread about Jesus' upcoming arrival, people have been cutting palm branches. Someone even brought me one.
Yes, Jesus' disciples have been busy too. A few of them arrived just a little while ago, and from the buzz I'm hearing, it sounds like Jesus is close.
When they had come near Jerusalem and had reached Bethphage at the Mount of Olives, Jesus sent 2 disciples.
Go into the village ahead of you, and immediately you will find a donkey tied and a colt with her. Untie them and bring them to me. If anyone says anything to you, just say this: the Lord needs them, and he will send them immediately.
This took place to fulfill what had been spoken through the prophet.
Tell the daughter of Zion, look, your king is coming to you, humble and mounted on a donkey, and on a colt, the foal of a donkey.
The disciples went and did as Jesus had directed them. They brought the donkey and the colt and put their cloaks on them, and he sat on them. A very large crowd spread their cloaks on the road, and others cut branches from the trees and spread them on the road. The crowds that went ahead of him and that followed were shouting,
Hosanna to the Son of David. Blessed is the one who comes in the name of the Lord. Hosanna in the highest heaven.
When he entered Jerusalem, the whole city was in turmoil, asking, "Who is this?" The crowds were saying,
This is the prophet Jesus from Nazareth in Galilee.
Well, This is certainly festive.
It sure is, but very different from what we might have expected from Caesar.
That's for sure. A donkey? Not exactly a stallion from Caesar's stables. Jesus, he's a new kind of king.
Yeah, but it didn't seem to faze the crowd. So much cheering and the palm branches and coats spread on the ground. The humbleness of Jesus is as poignant as the exuberating crowd. Listen to the singing.
Jesus entered the temple and began to drive out those who were selling and those who were buying in the temple. He overturned the tables of the money changers and the seats of those who sold doves. He would not allow anyone to carry anything through the temple. He was teaching.
Is it not written, "My house shall be called a house of prayer for all the nations"? But you have made it a den of robbers.
Well, I guess it's not a surprise that Jesus would go to the temple, but overturning the tables? What a mess!
Something you sure don't see every day. And those chief priests did not look too happy either.
Well, he's certainly making a scene. I wonder what he's thinking.
I know. I mean, den of robbers? Is that really what he thinks the temple's become? In any case, I hope that does not come back to haunt him. The disciples sure looked concerned.
Now the festival of unleavened bread, which is called the Passover, was near. The chief priests and the scribes were looking for a way to put Jesus to death because they were afraid of the people. Then Satan entered into Judas, called Iscariot, who was one of the 12. He went away and conferred with the chief priests and officers of the temple police about how he might betray him to them. They were greatly pleased and agreed to give him money. So he consented and began to look for an opportunity to betray him to them when no crowd was present.
While he was at Bethany, in the house of Simon the leper, as he sat at the table, a woman came with an alabaster jar of very costly ointment of nard. And she broke open the jar and poured the ointment on his head. But some were there who said to one another in anger, "Why was this ointment wasted in this way? For this ointment could have been sold for more than 300 denarii and the money given to the poor." And they scolded her.
Let her alone. Why do you trouble her? She has performed a good service for me. You always have the poor with you, and you can show kindness to them whenever you wish. But you will not always have me. She has done what she could. She has anointed my body beforehand for its burial. Truly, I tell you, wherever the good news is proclaimed in the whole world, what she has done will be told in remembrance of her.
Bethany. It's nice that Jesus has a place he can go and relax. Good friends, food's probably pretty good, and just far enough from the city to not feel pressure.
Yes, but what's up with the ointment? It's pretty extravagant.
Yes, but Jesus has a way of making people feel special. That woman is going to remember this forever.
No doubt. Well, it's almost time for Passover. You know, the ancient Jewish festival. How do you think Jesus will celebrate? I bet he's going to go back to the temple.
Actually, This just in, it looks like Jesus will be celebrating in a quieter setting with just his disciples.
And on the first day of unleavened bread, when the Passover lamb is sacrificed, his disciples said to him, "Where do you want us to go? And where do you want us to make the preparations for you to eat the Passover?" So he sent 2 of his disciples.
Go into the city, and a man carrying a jar of water will meet you. Follow him, and wherever he enters, say to the owner of the house, "The teacher asks, where is my guest room, where I may eat the Passover with my disciples?" He will show you a large room upstairs, furnished and ready. Make preparations for us there.
So the disciples set out and went to the city, and found everything as he had told them. And they prepared the Passover meal.
While they were eating, he took a loaf of bread. After blessing it, he broke it, gave it to them, and said,
"Take, this is my body."
Then he took a cup. After giving thanks, he gave it to them, and all of them drank from it. He said to them,
"This is my blood of the covenant, which is poured out for many. Truly I tell you, I will never again drink of the fruit of the vine until that day when I drink it new in the kingdom of God." Oh, that's for the choir.
have some of that?
Well, that was an intimate dinner.
True. But didn't something seem to be just a little off?
I guess so. Jesus did seem to be withdrawing a bit.
Yes. But Judas seemed a little agitated. He even left early.
Oh, looks like it's wrapping up. The rest of the disciples are leaving with Jesus. I wonder where they're going.
He came out, and as was his custom, went to the Mount of Olives. The disciples followed him. When he reached the place, he spoke to them.
Pray that you may not come into the time of trial.
Then he withdrew from them about a stone's throw. He knelt down and prayed.
Father, if you are willing, remove this cup from me. Yet not my will, but yours be done.
When he got up from prayer, he came to the disciples and found them sleeping because of grief.
Why are you sleeping? Get up and pray that you may not come into the time of trial.
While he was still speaking, suddenly a crowd came, and the one called Judas, one of the 12, was leading them. He approached Jesus to kiss him.
Judas, is it with a kiss that you are betraying the Son of Man?
When those who were around him saw what was coming, they asked, "Lord, should we strike with a sword?" Then one of them struck the slave of the high priest and cut off his right ear.
No more of this.
And he touched his ear and healed him. Then Jesus spoke to the chief priests, the officers of the temple police, and the elders who had come for him.
Have you come out with swords and clubs as if I were a bandit? When I was with you day after day in the temple, you did not lay hands on me. But this is your hour and the power of darkness.
Then they seized him and led him away, bringing him to the high priest's house.
What just happened? I wasn't ready for that.
That's why Judas left early? Betrayal?
Well, this can't be how it ends. The disciples aren't going to stand for this.
But Peter was following at a distance. When they had kindled a fire in the middle of the courtyard and sat down together, Peter sat among them. Then a servant girl, seeing him in the firelight, stared at him and said, "This man also was with him." But he denied it, saying, "Woman, I do not know him." A little later, someone else, on seeing him, said, "You also are one of them." But Peter said, "Man, I am not." Then about an hour later, still another kept insisting, "Surely this man also was with him, because he's a Galilean." But Peter said, "Man, I do not know what you are talking about." At that moment, while he was still speaking, the cock crowed. The Lord turned and looked at Peter. And Peter remembered the word of the Lord and how he said to him, "Before the cock crows today, you will deny me 3 times." And he went out and wept bitterly.
What just came over Peter? If he's not willing to come to Jesus' defense, who will?
How can he turn his back on Jesus so easily? This just doesn't seem like the same person that's been with him for 3 years.
Fear makes us do strange things. Sometimes we turn away from the very one that can save us.
When morning came, all the chief priests and the elders of the people conferred together against Jesus in order to bring about his death. They bound him, led him away, and handed him over to Pilate the governor. And now Jesus stood before the governor, and the governor asked him,
"Are you the king of the Jews?"
You say so.
But when he was accused by the chief priests and elders, he did not answer.
Do you not hear how many accusations they make against you?
He gave him no answer, not even to a single charge, so that the governor was greatly amazed. Now, at the festival, the governor was accustomed to release a prisoner for the crowd, anyone whom they wanted. And at that time, they had a notorious prisoner called Jesus Barabbas.
Whom do you want me to release for you? Jesus Barabbas or Jesus called the Messiah?
For he realized that it was out of jealousy that they had handed him over. Now the chief priests and elders persuaded the crowds to ask for Barabbas and to have Jesus killed.
Which of the two do you want me to release for you?
And they said,
Barabbas. Then what should I do with Jesus, who is called the Messiah?
Let him be crucified.
Why? What evil has he done?
Let him be crucified.
So when Pilate saw that he could do nothing, but rather that a riot was beginning, he took some water and washed his hands before the crowd, saying,
I am innocent of this man's blood. See to it yourselves.
His blood be on us and on our children.
So he released Barabbas for them.
What are all of you doing?
Shh, calm down.
No, didn't you hear that? They are going to take him out and whip him.
And the soldiers wove a crown of thorns and put it on his head. And they dressed him in a purple robe. They kept coming up to him and saying, "Hail, King of the Jews!" and striking him on the face. After mocking him, they stripped him of the robe and put his own clothes on him. Then they led him away to crucify him.
This cannot be happening. God, someone has to do something.
I thought we were here to celebrate. Weren't we just singing hosannas? How did this turn so quickly?
And who's to blame?